Hello and welcome to another episode of Automate Office Work. I'm your host, Justin, and today's episode is what vendors wish legal tech buyers knew. I have special guests today, Albert and Juan Pablo, but first I'm going to go over briefly a really nice analogy that really frames today's conversation, I think, and I have it showing on my screen for those who are watching with video. For those who are listening audio only, no worries, you can just listen to audio only, but I do have it. And I will also, there's a link to this article in the LinkedIn event. And I will also put it in the show notes for Apple Podcasts and YouTube and Spotify. But this article, it's entitled Chances of Legal Technology Implementation Success Increase When You Know Your Processes and Your Destination. It's quite a mouthful for a title. There is a picture of an airplane, and there are a row of suitcases in front of that airplane, and there's a whole bunch of birds on the suitcases. So this article has a really nice analogy about birds flying on airplanes. And when you first hear that phrase, you think, huh, birds flying on airplanes? Why would birds ever fly on airplanes? Well, listen to the analogy, and it makes sense. Okay, so birds are the experts on flight. They know exactly where they are and where they want to go, the route that they want to take. They know that they want to go over certain mountains and I don't know, over some lake or whatever. And they know the time of the year that they want to go. So let's bring in some kind of a technology that helps flight go faster. Airplanes. And now the birds, let's pretend these are talking birds, they can go have a conversation with the airplane ticket vendors. And they can have a very nice conversation saying exactly where they are, where they want to go, how they want to get there, what time of the year. And they can evaluate then what the vendors have to offer. And they can compare like costs and whatever. And of course, if it's cost effective, flying on an airplane is much faster than flapping your wings for like weeks on end, right? So in this analogy, it makes perfect sense for birds to fly on airplanes because technology makes us more efficient and gets us there faster. Okay, so let's pretend now that we are not birds and we are people, and there's this new technology called airplanes. We don't know how to fly. We are not experts in flying. We don't know where we are and where we want to go. We don't have the first clue about our route or the time of the year. We just know that airplanes are really popular and everybody's doing it, so we should do it too. And so I go to an airplane ticket vendor and I just say, hi, I want an airplane ticket. And the vendor now cannot have much of a conversation with me. They might ask me, where do you want to go? I don't know. What time of the year do you want to go? I don't know. Just everybody's buying airplane tickets, so just give me what everybody else is getting, right? So vendors, bless their hearts, they can have conversations more on like the features of the airplane, like the security, the comfort, the entertainment, how fast it goes. So the person buying the ticket has no idea where they're going, but they know that they will do it in style and they will get there like twice as fast than anybody else. So I buy the plane ticket. I have a great flight. I love my entertainment. I love the meals provided. I get off the airplane and I look around and I go, what am I doing in Mongolia? All right. So that is a great analogy to get this conversation going. And I'll bring in my guests now, Albert and Juan Pablo. Let you guys take it away. If you can briefly introduce also your company. And yeah. All right. Take it away, guys.
Albert. Oh, okay, sorry. Well, I like to. Well, thank you very much, first of all, Justin, for the nice intro and for the space with the audience. My name is Juan Pablo Coelho, so I made part of Close Pilot. I am driving the client expansion across EMEA, and we're basically an all-in-one platform that is targeting lawyers and in-house counsels in order to help them basically be more efficient with the legal daily tasks that it comes when they're facing their jobs. So today we've been in the market for a few months now. Albert, I hand over to you in order to introduce yourself.
Thank you, Juan Pablo. Thank you for taking the lead. Even though I worked remotely for more than 7 years, I still left myself on mute and started to talk. It's still happening. I'm Albert Fabian. I'm a lawyer by qualification and experience, but after practicing mostly M&A and renewable energy law for 12 years, I decided to suspend my practice as a lawyer and start building a legal tech company. And this is called Close Pilot, where we target European lawyers. Our aim is to develop a platform that will help European civil law jurisdiction lawyers with their everyday tasks to be more proficient. I love the analogy in your article and that you introduced, because it really it resonates with the experience that we have from the last couple of months. I would maybe, as a starting point, I would add maybe that it often happens that the human who doesn't know what flying is about doesn't even go to the company, the selling the tickets, but it's the company going to the human that, hey, here is this great new invention called flying. Have you heard about it? And then this is how the experience starts. And it might happen that eventually, yes, indeed, they end up in Mongolia. And so this is just another scenario that I wanted to add to the analogy that it can also happen. And then as a general note, just in the beginning, I think it's the job. It's a job for both sides, for the ticket selling company and for the human who hasn't heard about flying yet, to figure out what is flying, and if that human really needs flying, or he can get there by car. Maybe it's easier to get where he wants to go with car or by train. So yeah, let's discuss.
In my article, I call this learning to flap your own wings.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, it's difficult if you've never flown before, but maybe get up off your butt and like walk around and like manually do things, figure out.
Definitely. And I think, Justin, with the advent of AI in this case, if we are narrowing it down to this new wave of technology, which is AI, and today is accompanying any of us here today, I think we can all agree on the fact that we've all adopted AI in some sort of way in our everydays. In my case, ChatGPT is for sure accompanying in my everyday, from recipes, from drafting emails to whatever you name it. And everyone's talking about this. It's a fashionable world, and today also companies are marketing themselves as being super innovative because they're powered by AI. You were mentioning it yesterday. But what does that even mean, right? Can I say that I am powered by AI just because I use it on my everyday, but am I being efficient at it? And I think that's a good starting point for companies today, wanting to get and pave the way into this technology, to understand okay, AI is there for sure. We know the technology is there, but regarding the processes that we as a company are having internally, what's our destination, right? Taking the analogy of your story, where do we want to head with this, and then how can we make sure that we can not only do it ourselves, the board management, if we are in a top-down approach, but also how can we make sure that we onboard efficiently all of our team of organization, right, towards that same direction. And this is, I would say, the greatest challenge when it comes to start thinking before even kind of going towards the vendors or whatsoever. Start thinking before acting, right? So I would say that's the starting point. And regarding your title, what vendors wish legal tech buyers knew, I find it quite funny, because one of my main wishes today would be, at first, when I call any kind of prospect, should be a big, small, medium firm, is to understand whether there's a project in place or not at the moment, right? Have you already gathered and discussed about implementing something like AI? And if so, what's the structure, right? What's the scope? What's the timeline? Who's taking in charge this project? Who is the leader in this kind of project? I think the change management part is something quite important as well. So, and sometimes I think Albert can be, we've been together in this discovery phase of many of our prospects and companies that we're addressing at the moment, is like we realize some of them don't even have a clue when we are about to ask the more basic and logical questions, like who is addressing this, who is taking the lead on that. They don't know. And I think that's one of our main issues as of today, right? To make sure that on their side, they're ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where then we, as let's say the ticket selling company, to continue the analogy, we are trying to hold their hand, let's say, or guide them. And on our very first introductory call, because it often happens that we are the ones who are approaching them, and to make sure that in this first meeting that we have, we raise these questions and help to orientate them to start this project, and to find together what is their destination, and to find together what is the best way to get there.
I think it's also important, coming back to the advent of AI, to make sure that we have set the right expectations on the other side of the table. And now I'm going to introduce another analogy, which is a few weeks before. I love cooking, so I am basically a fan of cooking, and I have kind of introduced technology in that sense. I have recently bought a Thermomix, if you know the machine, which basically is a food processor, right? And I remember the time I was telling my girlfriend I would go and buy this new thing, but she had no idea about it because she has no clue at cooking, and she's not that fan of it. She loves consuming, but she's not the cooker. And she was imagining, while I was telling the story about this food processor, that there was a robot on the other side of the table that I would just say, hey, please make some sushi, and that it would just prepare it and serve it for you. So it's funny, and then it allows me to think a little bit of how today prospects and companies are thinking about AI, especially in our scope, in our industry on load side. Some of the prospects that we see are thinking that AI is going to be doing everything. So mostly really convinced about the fact that we will replace the lawyers. And the first thing we like to start off by saying is that we're definitely not there to replace it, not because we're afraid of that. I mean, the changes are there, and eventually will come a time, and we don't know yet the future, what's made of, where that will happen. But for the moment being, with the technology that we're veiculating on our side, we're definitely there to assist, and definitely not replacing the minds of lawyers and the work of a lawyer. So some of them are really into the thought of, hey, I love you to do my job. So that also brings us back to the reflection as a basis of understanding what's the scope of the project, what are we expecting from this technology once implemented in our company, and how do we take it from there, right? That's something that
you've touched a very important point, this miscommunication between vendor and customer. So when a vendor says something like, oh, it has so many great features, the customer might filter this through their brain thinking, oh, that means it does everything. So even though you're saying something, they're hearing something else. And so I always want to tell customers, you need to actually listen to what they're saying, not just hearing what you want to hear.
For sure. And I think this is when, it's our job actually to do it as a vendor, to make them speak. It's also our role as a vendor to make sure that for some people that are not necessarily very familiar with the technology, in this case, again, we're talking about AI, but we could be taken to any kind of technology out there in the market, to make sure that we also evangelize them and make sure that they really understand what's behind, right? I don't know what's possible in this sense.
Okay.
I would also maybe like to introduce the fact that again, it is, and we have been through different examples where, and this can be, of course, I think it's mostly for smaller and medium organizations, not necessarily for big ones. But sometimes we do feel that on the other side of the table, the structure has not been yet set. And even though it's a small organization and you could think it's quite agile and people communicate between them, we have been facing sometimes examples of when we are about to ask, okay, so who is the right person to talk from now regarding this project, and who would be leading this one, and who is our main point of contact? Well, they basically could be a small group of 5 people. They don't even know like who's taking the lead. So that's also something I would potentially advise to those companies trying to make a change, is really determine from the very beginning, just as in any project, who's going to take the lead in that sense, right?
Just getting back a bit about the miscommunication, I think it's not necessarily between the miscommunication of the vendor and the potential user prospect, but the miscommunication between the hype and the reality. And it tends to have this AI hype, which is still on. We'll see how how long it will take in general. In legal tech, it's definitely there, but in general, it's there. We'll see how long it will last. But this hype is it opens a lot of doors. A lot of lawyers, law firms, and companies in general have the FOMO. They don't want to miss out from the AI. They want to be powered by AI, as you are telling Justin, to have at least a contract with a vendor so they can put on their website that they are powered by AI. And of course, there are the plenty of the clickbait articles, and people are just seeing the clickbait titles, and from that, if you don't do your own research or check on reality, but get your information only from these clickbait articles, somebody might really get the impression and the expectation that really any tech tool now really should do my job for myself, and all I have to do now is just to bill my clients, because then the tech tool will do my job for me based on a few prompts. And maybe there are some vendors who are during the sales calls are giving this impression as well, using the hype, but then the reality checks in.
I really like Juan Pablo's example of cooking and buying this tool. The tool doesn't actually do everything for you. It empowers you, and now you get to be creative. He still has to think up, well, what do I want to create? He becomes a person using the tool. It doesn't just get rid of him and automatically do the cooking, right? So yeah. I see AI being kind of like this. Like, AI is an amazing tool that we get to use, but you remain the person doing the actions. And then you need creativity, you need curiosity, you need to have ideas about what you want to go do with it, right? If we turn off our brains and just say, oh, I bought this mixer, I'm going to put it on my shelf, that does nothing.
Yeah, definitely. And on that sense, you have either two cases where and what I like the most is for sure have a very innovative company that is open to innovation, and from there you have a top-down strategy in which you can very straightforward go and talk to the top management, and they'll be eager to listen. Or you can have more reticent companies and more rigid structures where in the end it's going to be really the adoption, and these innovations were going to be brought by the users themselves, like by the bottom up, right? Like in terms of adoption of the tooling. So that gets a little bit more complicated when it comes like this, because in the end, it's not necessarily, there's no real project behind, and it's up to us as well with the accompaniment of our prospects and champions inside to kind of build that need, right, for the entire company, and help them navigating through the complexities of the organization, right? So right now I'm just thinking about like someone in the firm that what we're addressing. It's a medium firm of about like 40 lawyers, But it's true that as of today, there's not really been any. I mean, everyone's today talking about AI, but for the moment, we identified that there's no real kind of project ongoing. This person is right now, of course, fan of our platform and trying to help us move it towards the top management. And it's up to us to also help them navigate through the complexity of what could be the acquisition of software, right? Like when it comes to potential roadblockers, like could be security, compliance in that sense. And yeah, I think you have those two cases of organizations, and it's also important that the organizations understand that and help in that sense the vendors somehow in that acquisition part. Yeah.
Wow. So it sounds like there's a shared responsibility here between the two of you to push this forward. Like the consumer cannot just lean on you to do all of this work for them. Like you go figure out my company for me.
I will maybe shared responsibility is a harsh expression. I think let's view it as a common goal, a common project, something that we should work together on. Maybe sounds a bit more positive.
You said the word need, and it made me think, like, how do we define need? So somebody might say, I need an airplane flight. And then you ask them to do what? And they say, to ride on an airplane. And then you say, but there has to be something behind that need, right? Do you need to go somewhere? Do you need to transport something? And in the same way, if somebody says, I need AI, my first question is, to do what? So the needs are actually behind that. So they might say, I need AI to organize my documents, to organize my workflows. And then, so if we start with the actual need, we might actually, then we're more free to look around, like, how can we organize the documents? There's not just AI, there's other technologies, right? And other simple technologies that might be much cheaper and might make more sense. But if we just say, I need AI, there is no real vision of what they're going to do it for. And then that just compounds even more. Like, how do you show return on investment if all you do is buy AI, but you have no plan for how to use it, right? Then it's just a cost with no real benefits shown. At least there's no plan.
I think it comes up to also from the planning perspective, define very well from the very beginning and do potentially some kind of reverse engineering to try to think differently and say, okay, what do we really want to achieve from there? What would be my definition of success? What would be how would we that translated into KPIs? And from there kind of see, okay, what needs to be done in order to achieve those, right? Those success criteria factors. And for there, of course, also we are, and it's, I would say, one of our main duties to kind of help them, customers, prospects, navigate, right? Like some organizations are quite clear on that, but some others are not. And also us as vendors, we are there to support that journey of understanding how we can, basically jointly define some success criteria, especially, for instance, in our case, it comes up when it comes to trialing, right? Like, okay, we definitely can set up a pilot for you in the next coming 30 days. But what's going to make it that by the end of that pilot, you will, as an organization, say, okay, closed pilot has definitely helped us in X, Y, Z, and therefore we decide to purchase it or to acquire it, right? So I think it's also quite interesting and important from the very beginning to make sure that jointly both organizations are clear on what is needed, what's to be achieved, and from their work towards that direction.
And I think for goal setting, it's also helpful, at least in our experience from the last couple of months, if we set some smaller goals. So the goal is not that to be AI powered or to be AI native for the entire firm. and also in correlation with the finding the need, that let's just find one use case, one task that is requires more than simple automation, so not just filling out forms, but where really the LLM technology can be useful. Let's find that use case and let's trial it. Let's trial it with people, and let's make that task performed by an application within the firm, and that helps to I think that helps to introduce the tool in the firm, and then to get people familiarized with it. And then step by step, we can find another tool, sorry, not another tool, another task, then another task and another task, and slowly, step by step, become almost like AI native for the entire firm. So as also you said, just go beyond the articles of and the notion in the on the company's website that powered by AI, but really to introduce it in the everyday work and gain efficiency like that, and without wanting to do it every day, everywhere for all the tasks, because you cannot learn to do everything at once. And I think this way it can be can help to do the adoption process, because when we discussed before before this discussion, when we talk, and there are some studies available, very high percentage of AI implementation in companies, not just legal tech in general, they fail the majority.
I think a big reason of this is that we're confusing implementation types. For me, there's two types of implementation. There's a horizontal, which you just described, taking them, identifying an exact complex workflow, and you work through step by step by step by step by step until it is all done. But now you only have one workflow done. Now you have to go do another one and another one and another, and these take time. But because you've taken the time and you've intentionally built it out, they work very, very well. The other type of implementation that I see people want to do instead, but they think they'll get the benefit of that horizontal, is a vertical. And that is where they just take a tool, maybe like a Copilot or something, and they just make it available to everybody in the company. And they say, here you go. And it's then up to everybody to figure it out, right? But people don't have the time and the resources. So a vertical implementation, it's very nice for me because I can just buy it once and then give it to everybody. But to actually get the benefit, you need to go horizontally, and you need to go through all these use cases and these workflows to help people implement it.
By the way, one of our main next steps, once we agree with our prospects to follow up on the acquisition of sub-licensing, is definitely imposing on ourselves, not pushing. Of course, we cannot impose anything, but definitely be proactive in kind of suggesting an implementation plan that will be making sure that this is a successful project on their side as well. So today, actually, we're talking about potentially a roadmap in which it's not only about transactional, transactionally wise, we just sign a deal and that's it. No, we want to make sure that we are really in the starting point of a partnership where we are making this project successful. And for this, as you were mentioning, indeed, it's not about just pushing the technology, but also making sure that you get trained on this, you get actively answering a lot of doubts or questions that may arise from the use of it. At the starting point, there are so many questions out there, until at least you build up a foundation of users that internally would a community, as you're mentioning, and then they will take on the job of evangelizing internally. So the building up of those internal champions takes time, and for that it's also a role of us as vendors to make sure that we efficiently, effectively accompany our clients in the implementation process. Making sure that we fulfill that job of training and continuous accompaniment in that sense.
Do you ever have to evaluate a potential customer and even tell them, I'm sorry, you're not ready? Maybe there are some prerequisites, like AI needs to be trained on historical organized data. If a company doesn't have that, their success rate is going to go down.
Yeah, Albert.
We are. I mean, we can be open about it. We are still learning it. We had some experience where I think, looking back, we should have said this to the client, that sorry, you are not ready yet. Let's not start trialing. Let's just take a step back, plan a bit ahead together, and then just start the trialing. So we had this experience, but we learned from it, and when we feel from the first introduction that they are not necessarily ready yet. For example, there is nobody responsible. There is no project. Nobody's responsible. Not sure whether there will be a champion or not. Just there is, let's say, a broad interest because of all the articles and the hype. Then we don't jump into granting the test accounts and just register and give the trials and the testing. We don't jump there. Then we organize further discussions. We ask them to have some workshops internally, to make the decisions internally, because it needs to be a project in order to work for them as well, and not just have a subscription that they don't use. It requires some investment in the beginning that pays off very, very quickly. Getting back to the ROI aspect that you mentioned, it can be made really, really quickly. That initial investment. We're not talking about months or not talking about months. Just to pay attention, to try to use that tool, a bit of dedication for a couple of days, a few weeks, and then it can become part of the everyday work, and then you can quickly see how more effective the individuals, the employees can be, and if the employees are more efficient, then the company itself will be more efficient. But unfortunately, from a customer perspective, unfortunately, it doesn't work as the turbo mix, or what was the name of the cooking machine that you just put it on the counter?
the Thermomix.
and then the sushi is ready. Unfortunately, it's not there yet, or fortunately, because I'm not sure it will be good for us as humans if the machines will be available to really do everything for us like that. I'm not sure as a society that's something to be desired, but that's for another discussion. That's for a more philosophical or social studies discussion, and not tech implementation in companies.
Yeah, that picture of somebody just taking a magical kitchen tool and being able to make anything. It makes me think of the example, like, what if I wanted to make sushi, but I've never made sushi before. I have no idea what a recipe for sushi is. I get this amazing tool, and I'm like, okay, I have no idea how to make sushi. I expected that this would make sushi for me, but I have to apply my own human skills, my own knowledge. You can't just skip that. And by us going to AI or whatever, I'm afraid we're skipping out on the training and educating people, and we're telling them, okay, use this because apparently it's magic.
Still, I think that organizations should definitely leverage and not be blind or deaf to the fact that, of course, we human beings are all different, and as I think we were discussing about that very quickly yesterday, we're so resistant to change, but at the same time, you also have some different characters and profiles inside the organizations that are so willing to innovate and so open to innovation. And in that sense, I think organizations should be therefore quite open into rapidly identifying inside their teams who those kind of people are, so that in the sense of like having an innovative approach, making sure they can leverage those people internally so they can become their own champions, they can become the own evangelizers of change among the population, and from there, maybe even name them as leaders of that change, as leaders of that transformation project, and from there put him or her against any vendor to make sure that they're also kind of course considering the aspect of change management, which is so important indeed. Yeah.
I'm thinking though, as a lawyer, lawyers are not promoted for being innovative. Lawyers are promoted because they're conservative. They do things the same way that they've been done before. So these people that come in, like these new graduates who want to change things and revolutionize things, they're seen as a little bit of a rebel.
Yeah. I understand. At the same time, too, for us, it's been also one of the main sources of growth, which is definitely trying to spread the word about among the younger generations that are ending up their studies and about to start their careers in law firms. So that's also a good starting point, and I think definitely organizations should today, hear those voices. In my case, I'm 37 years old. I don't feel myself old, but old enough to sometimes compare myself to these young generations. And from time to time, when I think about the beginnings of social media, of Facebook, for instance, and nowadays, if I were to compare myself now to what Facebook became, I'm just out of scope, right? I'm just out of the game, So I can imagine with AI and what's coming next.
But I think it's also about so that you don't become a very big rebel. The step-by-step approach, this horizontal step-by-step approach, can also, I think, help with that, because you are not telling from the top that okay, now you need to do everything completely differently as you did before. Because why would a lawyer listen to a legal tech vendor? He did his job perfectly well in the past 10, 20, 30 years. Why would the legal tech vendor should tell him to do his job completely differently? I think that's not a good approach. Me myself as a lawyer would be quite offended if they wanted to tell me that I was doing my job wrong in the past 10, 12 years. And here is how I should do my job. I don't think it's that's the working approach. But to see what are the types of tasks, subtasks that takes time, and maybe not even really remunerated by the clients or appreciated by the clients, and to try to target those tasks, because then that will really help to get familiarized, and not to feel that your whole world is changing, or they want to impose something on you. But really, you get a tool that helps you to limit your time spent on those tasks that are not really the well-paying ones, and then you can focus your attention on the better paying tasks, for example. I think that can also help the adoption. And sometimes, just getting back to your analogy, these tasks don't require AI. Just simple automation, like filling out forms. You don't need LLM for that to fill out corporate forms, for example. Yet people didn't do it, even though the technology is there for document automation for decades. But thanks to as I said, I think the hype opened the door in general for technology. So not just AI, but technology in general. So maybe you don't necessarily need to include AI in your service if you want to be a legal tech provider. Probably it helps because of the hype, but still, if to look for needs and to satisfy needs, you don't necessarily even need to use AI. Wow. Just automation. I think even for that you can find needs and fulfill needs.
I love this message. Thank you for saying this out loud as a vendor. I wish all the consumers knew this.
Maybe I was speaking a bit against ourselves a bit, but we are how to say, we are trying to be transparent and open
We have a full set of tools. We don't just have one tool to use. We have many. And you use the right tool
Yeah.
at the right time. So let's talk a little bit about resistance and adoption. I heard you talking about implementation and adoption. And in my mind, these are two different things. Implementation is more where the vendor needs to help us get it set up. But even once it's set up, if we don't adopt it and use it, it's also not a success. But where does the vendor help us with adoption? I see that as more like a consumer responsibility. And how do we go around adoption? Because if we define success as 100% adoption, but then you're saying focus on your innovators, that's a smaller number of people. So yeah. Let's talk about adoption and resistance.
Yeah, that's a good one. Well, first of all, I would say on our side, vendor side, the responsibility is definitely to have something quite trackable and quite clear when it comes to introducing it to the company once we have agreed on a deal, and make sure that we jointly set expectations on what's going to be this implementation program. On our side, for instance, we make sure again to push or be quite proactive when it comes to showing a plan in terms of how we will be driving these different trainings. It all goes through the first introductory call where the main users or new users of the platform are introduced. They're not necessarily or were not necessarily present during the pilot. And there we start over. It's like a new sale for sure. We start over the presentation, the introduction of the platform. And then we basically set some weekly calls where we make sure that these users are able to kind of present their questions, ideas, their doubts or the questions if they arise. In that sense, I would say definitely that's what we can come up with, which is basically have a proactive approach to make sure that we are there for them. Sometimes what we have been also seeing, and we don't blame the users because we know lawyers or whatever population out there in companies are not only thinking about the vendors, they might just not have the time, right? And sometimes it's a certain frustration that we do feel from the vendor side, but we also have to be empathetic into understanding that, well, the end user, we are kind of the last thing they might be thinking about. So it's also up to us, I would say, to have a very proactive approach into reaching out constantly, frequently, and making sure that things are going smoother on their way in their side. Well, I think that's our own responsibility. On the other side, well, company side, client side, I would say we definitely need, in that sense, the support of the management as well, right? So to make sure that the support come from both ways, the vendor and top management. Albert, I don't know if you have your
as Justin, as you said, 100% adoption or daily use is something impossible, I believe, for for any type of tech introduction or new technology introduction in a company. In my let's say in my mind, but you are the native English speaker. But in my mind, adoption and implementation for legal tech, or at least in my interpretation, is a bit similar, because for just launching launching, but maybe I'm just a bit too focused on our own. But launching the product is just after having the subscription is, let's say, relatively easy setup to make it available for the employees. But making sure that they use it is what I mean under implementation, adoption, and that's why maybe it's a bit mixed up in my in my dictionary. So I don't just mean like under implementation. I don't mean technological or IT implementation, but the spread of the platform of that tool within the organization, and that's why maybe I use interchangeably adoption implementation. And I just want to confirm what Juan Pablo said, that we believe it's a joint responsibility, as you said, responsibility, or a joint project, as we like to approach it. And you need both sides. And if there is always resistance, because and I know it from myself. I'm not a tech savvy lawyer. When I was working as a lawyer, I wasn't the champion in the law firms for adopting new technologies when I was working there. So I know the perspective of not so tech savvy, maybe a bit critical towards technology lawyer, and we need to be aware of that, and we don't need to push those people too hard. I believe, especially not in the beginning. Let them see how the champions are using it, and if they see that the champions are really gaining efficiency, they are leaving earlier in the office, or they are charging to multiple clients or more clients because of their efficiency gains, then I believe that they will also ask that, okay, then let's please show me how it works, because I see that you are using it often, and how you are using it. So we also need some patience toward those who are resisting in the beginning.
I've also seen some shift in the way the organizations are pushing towards the adoption of different tools, aside of course of legal tech AI. But I think, and it's honorable to say today, organizations have understood that they have to give the choice in the end to the end user in that sense, and they have to fulfill. And that's why the development of marketplaces, internal marketplaces that are potentially offering different ways and different solutions of software are available to the users. And I think that's a great way of deploying that. So should you be interested by adopting at one point that, because you feel that you have spoken with your colleagues at the cafe that it could be interesting, then you're able to test it, but you're not necessarily pushed towards the adoption. And that's a great way to go, because in the end it will avoid frustration, and the need will come from the user from the user itself, and not necessarily like from a top-down approach where you're being imposed something, and that definitely used to create a lot of frustration back in the days. Yeah.
This is beautiful.
And about the management, I think maybe the role of the management is just to make available the tools that are, if there are some internal champions, early innovators, champions, interested ones, maybe the management so what we have seen sometimes that it really work from the bottom up, and not from the top to the bottom. In this case, the management has a, let's say, relatively easy job, because then from inside there is already the need was already set, already the tool was found, and they would be eager to use it, or at least some of them. And then the management just needs to be open, needs to be open to it, and allow the use of it, at least for those who are interested and who are the early innovators.
I would just finish by saying that it's really the starting point of a partnership. So once the acquisition of that software is made, it's not the end, at least from a vendor side, and we need to make sure that the adoption rates are high. And so for me, it's really the starting point of a great partnership in which we are about to start really the sale. So it's not made or concluded once we have agreed on something, but now it's the sale towards the end users. That's going to be the most important side. And for that, definitely a good collaboration between two organizations is needed. And that's why basically US also established these famous customer success organizations with their quarterly business reviews, making sure that we follow throughout the process and accompaniment of how the adoption is going, and from there you correct if needed. But yeah, it's a starting point of a partnership.
So I'm hearing that this isn't a destination. The sale is not the final thing. It's the beginning of a journey. So consumers need to view it the same, that this is just the start, and we have to keep going.
Without mentioning, for sure, and this is something that we also have in place, that we've decided with the development team of our company that we were to establish these user groups where at the end, I mean, our solution is made for the end user, right? So we need to be making sure as well that we have an open ear to what new feature can come up, to what new idea can come up. So in that sense, also bringing that voice to the end user is so important for us. And that's why also we've set these kind of user groups in which the end users of our solution are also able to communicate with us and with our development team in order to even like have a say on the development of the roadmap, right? So yeah, as you're saying, it's a journey, and for us, it's in the end what we're seeking is to have a very close relationship with these end users in order to determine what's to be developed in the next coming features releases. Yeah.
Wow, I just had an aha moment that you guys are kind of in the position of those managers who need to listen to the needs of the people, need to be open to considering and implementing things. And just like we talked about building a community inside the company, you're talking about building a community of all of your users. So this is on so many different levels. The same thing that you want your customers to be doing, you guys are building just at a higher level. This is beautiful.
Yeah, that's what we are aiming for.
I'm wondering then, because you guys have a vision of your own product and how you would like for it to be used. I'm wondering, do customers often have like a narrow imagination of what's possible? Like you wish, like you see the possibility of your tool being amazing and doing so many amazing things that just are not being done yet because we don't have the right tool, right? But then customers are thinking not to revolutionize their work, but just to do things a little bit incrementally better, a little bit faster, you know? So is there a disconnect between your imagination of what's possible and then what the customers are looking for?
I hope there is not. And just to elaborate more than that, when we have like the first or second, so when there is a good promising start of a potential cooperation, so not just first meeting, showing the demo, etc. No, not only that, but when we see the real, let's say, appetite and openness for cooperation, then we share our vision with the customers. So we tell them that, look, this is what we can do now. We can help you with X, Y, Z task or subtask. But if we start really working together, then we tell them where we want to be in a year or two, what complex features, what complex tasks we want to achieve, and then we tell them that, look, we can be partners in that. If we establish a relationship, you can of course have a say in that. Plus, we will listen to you, and if you have further needs, or while starting to use it only just for task and subtask, you yourself realize that, oh my God, it could achieve much more if we would do this and that. Then we can, let's say, develop it further together as partners, not in a legal sense partners, I mean, but in a business sense. That so what we are aiming for is not just to have tons of subscribers, but really to have partners as well in our customers.
And I must say, sometimes there are times there where we're having just calls and we wish these people were just in the innovation teams of our own company, right? Because they are dreamers, and they are the ones actually providing us with the good ideas to make our product and our platform different. So yeah, definitely that is so much based on the different persons that we meet, and we're always kind of actively listening. At the end, it's going to be what's going to make you different as a company, as a provider. So we definitely have to make sure that we keep our ears open to what the users have to say, for sure.
I'm hearing in our conversation that these innovators are few. I asked
Not the majority.
I asked a previous guest, is innovation universal? I mean, like something that is inside of every human being and we just need to develop it? Or is it something that only a few people are born with? Like another way to ask this is, are we all potentially Einstein? Or is Einstein actually rare? You know, and we have to cherish and find these rare people and give them the ability to lead and be innovative.
Well, I have my saying about that. I think we're all dreamers. It's just a matter of putting in practice the dream chip, let's say. But I do think we are all having this capacity of dreaming and imagining things for sure. What about you, Albert? What do you think?
Of course, Einstein is rare. We are not, myself, I'm not Einstein for sure. Far from that. Very, 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 very far from that. But even though, of course, we like the comfort and we like things how we did before, but still, I'm sure that if we can show them that things can be done even more comfortably, more efficiently, then even the people who are accustomed to their own everyday practices can eventually not become innovators or not become the champions, but and not early adapters, but they eventually can become adapters, or at least what if there is real value brought by that tool.
I think the message that I've gotten from the AI hype these last few years is that we all have access to these amazingly powerful tools that can do so much. But if I actually look and see how much innovation is being done, I don't see very much innovation being done. Mm-hmm. And so I think that them marketing it to us that we all now have Copilot or we all have ChatGPT, good luck, you know, and then the businesses see like it's not actually being used. There's not much productivity or benefit being used. I think from our conversation here, it might be better, instead of marketing this way, like go find the innovators, find the curious people who want to build and make something, and then you focus on them. So you don't just cast a net to like 100% of people, but you go and find these people who will then have a larger impact on their company, on their organization.
Yes, innovators, or you can call them champions. Yeah, but I think they're more talking about more or less the same group of very similar group of people.
It's the champions. Yeah. So yeah, when you're identifying a customer, identify the champions.
Yes. That's what we aim for. Sometimes sometimes relatively easily, or sometimes we find immediately the champion. Sometimes it happens that we don't find it. I mean, we cannot beat. Sometimes we don't find it.
You have the possibility to build a champion inside as well. So it's also something that we have to take into consideration, because that again, that chip, that mindset of innovation can also be built up from the ground, not necessarily that it doesn't exist. We just have to how do you say that? Enlighten the spark in that person.
Turn it on
to make sure and leverage this person inside internally to make sure that they are successful within their organization, and they also help us vendors position our solutions as well.
Wow. So I'm even thinking then a different way for you to approach, instead of just approaching like random companies, maybe you put on some kind of like an innovators event, or you find like there should be a community of innovative minded people.
Definitely.
And they're all tinkering with different tools. And then you approach them and say, hey guys, look at this tool. And then they start playing with it.
Definitely.
Yeah. Yes.
Do you guys have any more message that you wish that that consumers knew, the legal tech buyers?
I think if we Because the title of the live was a question, and maybe we should give an answer. Though we gave many answers over the 1 hour, but I think at least us, Close Pilot, what we wish would customer knew is that it's a project together, it's a journey together, and it's a potential fruitful partnership together. It's not just a demo and a sale. I think that might be one message from us that we wish the customers would know.
I like it, and I would just add the fact that the technology is now here again amongst us, as we mentioned, the AI. If we are to talk about the hype of AI, and now it's about identifying use cases and where AI can indeed help into turning things a little more efficiently for them and ease the way they are working on an everyday basis. And there are sure some use cases where we can support. So let's work together.
Okay. Can you tell us some more about your product, Clause Pilot, and your website, of course?
Probably we weren't promoting ourselves enough. Yes, thank you for the push.
Please do.
It's closepilot.com, close like in a clause in a document or in a contract, or a clause in a law. We are an all-in-one AI legal platform, which is developed by European lawyers for civil law jurisdiction lawyers. We are targeting, or we developed our tool mostly for boutique law firms and small, relatively small in-house legal teams. And yeah, very briefly, we are available as an online app, and also we are in a Word editing, and soon we will be in Outlook as well, because we want to make Close Pilot available where lawyers do their work in Word and in Outlook. With the promotion part, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
Very briefly.
You said it's for running a law firm?
It's for law firms and small in-house legal teams. So we have a growing interest from the in-house legal teams of multinational companies as well. They can also utilize our platform. We aim to assist lawyers with their professional tasks. So not we aim to tell them to use AI for where AI is needed. So we don't tell them to use AI for filling out forms, but to help to do legal research from trusted sources with natural language, to process large amount of documents precisely, to write documents, to revise documents. We can help them prepare first draft documents from zero or built on their own templates, and we can help them to organize their knowledge base and utilize the knowledge base of their firm or their legal team.
Okay, so I'm hearing that you focus on like the documents, the products, like the product of law. I
Yes,
was also hearing.
Yes,
I was
because,
also thinking, like, is there like invoice management? Is this like employee management? Is there marketing also, or is it really only the practice?
Is the professional stuff, let's say the revenue generation tasks of lawyers, where there is a product, because legal work doesn't stop just by legal research, or doesn't stop by just document analysis, but you always have a product. You have an email where you summarize your findings. You have a contract where you made the changes. You have a memo that you prepared for the client. You have a submission that you prepared for the court case. So we aim to help to prepare those more efficiently and with a higher quality, by helping the lawyers to utilize their own knowledge, their own firm's knowledge. And for anyone who is interested, they can find us via LinkedIn, Juan Pablo or myself, and also in the on the webpage closepilot.com. There is a link to book a demo, and we are more than happy to show our product and start this journey together with the potential prospects.
All right. Well, thank you to both of you. This has been a really nice conversation. really a lot of insights have come out of this. I think that there's a lot that legal tech buyers can learn from vendors like yourselves. And I commend you guys for really having a vision for where this can go and pushing the legal industry forward.
Thank you very much, Justin. Thank you for the reminder for the promotion. We really enjoyed I really enjoyed our conversation. I forgot about that we are on a LinkedIn Live completely.
Yeah, thank you very much, Justin, for the time, for the audience as well, for being here, and yeah, looking forward to getting connected with the audience, and thank you very much for this space.
All right. And then I'll sign off. And like I always do, I always wish the audience happy automating.